Project Management Standards and VAP, Submodule 2.4. In this submodule, you will learn about project management standards and frameworks. We will start with a definition of what project management standards are and what is their purpose. We will explore some of the most popular standards and their scopes and benefits. We will then learn about the VAP framework, starting with the philosophy behind it and finishing with an overview of the VAP tools and standards. During this submodule, you will learn that 1. Project management standards and project management framework are terms often used to mean the same thing. 2. Project management tools can be useful, but one size does not fit all. 3. VAP stands for Value-Adding Projects and is a standard designed for Erasmus Plus projects. 4. VAP is built on a philosophy naming 7 factors affecting value creation. 5. Those 7 factors can be addressed using 6 tools and 6 standard documents. Project management standards, project management frameworks, and project management methodologies are terms often used to mean the same thing. A lot of academic literature can be found on the differences and the definitions of the terms. Many studies have been made to distinguish, differentiate, and classify different models. Overall, there somehow seems to be a consensus that project management standards are a more rigid set of procedures, whereas a framework is more loose and adaptable, and a methodology is a systematic process. In some literature, one certification can be described as a standard, whereas the same certification in other literature can be described as a framework or as a methodology. One can get the feeling that a project management standard can become a framework or a methodology if applied agile or adapted to the context. In this module, we have decided not to distinguish between them and will from now refer to it as project management standards. It is, however, the course provider's opinion that one size doesn't fit all, and all standards should be applied with a critical approach and be adapted to your context. There are so many project management standards on the market that it would be impossible to map them all. The most well-known standards are probably ISO 21500, Prince2, PMBOK, and IPMA-ICB. ISO 21500 is an international standard developed by the International Organization for Standardization. It was intended to provide generic guidance, explain core principles, and what constitutes good practices in project management. Prince2, or Projects in Controlled Environments, is a structured project management method and practitioner certification program. Prince2 emphasizes dividing projects into manageable and controllable stages. Prince2 was developed as a UK government standard for information systems projects and has become very popular in public administration. PMBOK stands for Project Management Body of Knowledge and is developed by Project Management Institute, or PMI. Since its launch, it has been mostly used in the US, but during the last few years, it has increasingly been used in Europe as well. The International Project Management Association, also IPMA, maintains their own project management methodology and certification scheme, which is outlined in the Individual Competence Baseline, and it is increasingly used across Europe. All the standards mentioned here come with a certification system that can be very costly for a little NGO. The organizations behind this course are applying the VAP standards. VAP stands for Value-Adding Projects and is designed for Erasmus Plus and other donor-funded projects. VAP is based on the VAP philosophy that consists of 7 indicators on themes that are essential for creating value. With roots in this, VAP proposes some standards and some tools that can be applied by NGOs. The VAP philosophy is based on 7 indicators that can affect the value creation. The indicators have been identified through a thorough meta-study and confirmed by an empiric study with more than 100 managers of Erasmus Plus projects from 5 different countries. Obviously, for the single organization, one indicator may be more urgent or relevant than the others, but in total, the VAP philosophy is based on the idea that all indicators are addressed and prioritized equally. The headlines for the indicators are revolutionary versus evolutionary delivery, planning and change of plans, the relation between basis and project organization, relations between project and partner or host organization, user involvement, managing the project, preparations for the future, single discipline versus multidiscipline. In the following slides, those indicators are explained in detail. Revolutionary versus evolutionary delivery. Revolutionary versus evolutionary delivery is about comprehending the project in accordance with more complicated and agile projects rather than a simple project lifecycle model. Simply put, you will get what you aim at, and if the project managers and organizations over-focus on the delivery of the results, then they risk overlooking the actual use of the results and how they create value for the end beneficiaries. This is difficult when administrating Erasmus Plus projects, where you will solely be measured on your results. When you are, for example, making a youth exchange, the contractual, most important indicator is how many participants were present and for how many days. Your only feedback will be the participants' instant satisfaction, for example, whether they like the venue and the food. Those things are all a part of your delivery and obviously important, but the most important is the participants' learning and how that will impact their lives and behavior once they are back. Organizers have to lift themselves up in a helicopter perspective and view the effect of their work as an evolutionary delivery and consider the changes that happen over months and even years after the project. Perceiving the project from a value-creating perspective as an evolutionary process rather than from a delivery perspective as a revolutionary change is probably the most essential element of the VAP philosophy. Planning and change of plans. Before D-Day, General Eisenhower said the famous words, "Plans are nothing. Planning is everything." We, as project managers, should never stop planning. Especially when working with Erasmus+, our programs for exchanges and trainings have been made months in advance. If therefore, some plans need to be changed, it is no shame. For many project managers, the need of changing plans is, however, difficult to recognize, partially because the plans are what they have got granted the project on, and partly because they may perceive it as a failure. However, there is no way around it, and we seriously doubt that anyone ever made an Erasmus Plus project without making a small or big change in the plans. Some considerations can help the organizations to make flexible plans. For example, the degree of planning. Sometimes it is possible not to plan every detail ahead, but plan as you go. If you do not plan in too much detail, you will not have to change your plans. Flexibility in terms of planning. If the whole organization acknowledges that your plan is the best until another plan will be better, it will be easier to accept the changes that you might need to make. Milestone plans. If you do your detailed plan just until the next milestone, you will be more flexible to replan the next step when you see the results of the first step. When you plan your milestones, you may consider to constitute the milestones in accordance with the value you create rather than time or delivery. Finally, it can be helpful when you phrase your objectives and make your initial plans that you think about persons, organizations, and systems. Value creation does not happen alone by aiming at persons. If you design your project from the beginning in a way that it takes into consideration changes in the organizations and the systems as well, then fewer changes will be needed. The relation between basis and project organization. As described in Module 2.1, a project is a temporary organization inside the organization. we use the terms project organization for the project and basis organization for your NGO. For the project to succeed and create value, it is important that it doesn't become an island by itself. The project should be an integrated part of your NGO, and they should mutually contribute to each other. If the project is not related to the purpose of your NGO, it is unlikely that it will be prioritized and have access to sufficient resources. It is, therefore, important that there is a clear link between the project and the strategy of the organization, and that it is visible to everybody why this project is important for the NGO. The link can be created by taking a point of departure in the purpose of the NGO when phrasing the aim and objectives of the project and when defining milestones. An important element in managing value-adding projects is to ensure a good relationship between the project management and the executive management of the organization. The aim is partially to ensure that the executive management sees and prioritizes the project, but also that the project manager is equipped with an understanding of the needs and expectations of the basis organization to steer the project in the direction desired by the executive management. In most cases, it will be difficult to ensure that the project is aligned with the organization by just describing the results or the process. Therefore, the principal-agent theory suggests socialization between project and basis organization. You can learn more about principal-agent theory in the submodule Introduction to Project Management. The numbers of projects that an organization runs can obviously impact the attention that the management has on every single project. This, however, doesn't mean that an organization with many projects creates less value. However, bigger organizations can benefit from organizing different projects and apply strategies for program and portfolio management. Finally, there is a need of applying some project management standards or frameworks in proportion to the number of projects in the organization. The more projects, the more urgent it becomes for managers to ensure the application of the same terminology and approach to impact assessment and evaluation. Relations between project and partner or host organization. All the points mentioned in the previous slide are also relevant for the relationship between the project and its partner organizations. The value creation of the project is dependent on all the organizations being involved and dedicated to pursuing change and creating value. Therefore, the project should be linked to the strategy of all the partners, and a rapport should be established with all the stakeholders. User involvement. The VAP standards are all about doing projects that add value. However, if you want to add value, not just for your organization and the society, but also for the beneficiaries, you need to know their problems and needs. The VAP philosophy sees the users not only as beneficiaries, but as co-producers. This means that the users, or at least the user's perspective, need to be integrated into the project from the very beginning. It is, in practice, difficult to involve your participants already from the beginning when you are planning, for example, a youth exchange, simply because this often starts months or years before the project takes place. It is, however, important that their problems and needs are analyzed carefully and that your planning takes a point of departure in this. As mentioned earlier in this presentation, the VAP standards recognize that planning is not solely a phase at the beginning of the project. Planning is a process that is ongoing all through the lifespan of the project. Therefore, there are plenty of opportunities to involve the users in planning as the project progresses. Finally, user involvement is about the narratives created during the project. It is a fundamental principle for the VAP standards that the users, for example, the participants, are not reduced to clients. The users have to be made co-responsible for the project and be considered as co-producers by the project team and by themselves. Managing the project. In other project management standards, the managerial aspect is in focus. The VAP philosophy is recognizing this aspect in line with the 6 other factors. The managerial aspect of the VAP standards are focused on the following points. Firstly, create an identity or culture for the project. As everybody involved is a co-producer, everybody needs to be motivated and feel their affiliation with the project. Having a good visual identity and some cultural rituals or artifacts are often underestimated tools for this. It is also important that there is a clear division of responsibility and that everybody knows who has the mandate to do what. In any structure, the attention paid by the top management is crucial for the motivation of staff as well as for the allocation of resources. To create a dedication among participants and staff, it is important that they feel the board of directors or other top management representatives see them, share their dedication, and feel committed to the project to the same level as them. To keep the motivation up, it is important to establish inclusive leadership. As the staff are often volunteers and the participants are co-producers, the project can benefit from a transformational leadership as opposed to a transactional leadership. Transformational leadership focuses on increasing motivation and engagement and attempts to link employees' sense of self with organizational values. It is about seeing the process as a transformation that the management and team pass through together, rather than a transaction, where achievements are honored by rewards or failure with punishment. Internal management simply refers to the management of the project organization or project team, and external profiling refers to the visibility of the project outside of the base organization. The more value and importance it generates amongst external stakeholders, the more priority it gets within the organization. Preparations for the future. The value of a project is the use of its results. Consequently, the learning and the use of the learning is essential in the VAP standards. The project should enhance organizational learning, and there should be mechanisms in place to collect experiences, store them, and make them available for the whole organization. Simultaneously, the participants' learning should be monitored and tracked throughout and beyond the life cycle of the project. One of the added values of the project can be new proposals and new ideas coming up. The process of thinking ahead should be stimulated throughout the whole project. Single discipline versus multidiscipline. The final indicator in the VAP philosophy is related to the approach of the staff and management. We may work with young people, but a good youth worker is not all it takes. To do successful projects within Erasmus Plus or other youth programs, you will need pedagogical or youth worker competences, as well as competences within project management, communication, financial control, etc. You don't have to assign a multi-skilled octopus for your project, but rather make sure that your team is composed of people with all those qualities. The VAP tools and standards are heavily founded in those 7 indicators. To make it easier for the project managers to work with the indicators, VAP is suggesting a number of tools and standards that can be used. Some of them are relevant specifically for the Erasmus Plus program, as it has been implemented by the EU from 2014 to 2020. Others can be used for any other youth project. As mentioned earlier in this module, it is important to keep planning and that you are ready to change your plans when needed. Many users of the donor programs are, however, hesitant to make changes as they are aware that their project has been granted based on the plans written in the application. To reinforce the confidence of the project manager to make the necessary changes, VAP is offering a change diagram where the users can follow what changes are okay to make and what changes they should have donors' approval to make. For training courses under the Erasmus Plus program, the attitude and expectations of the participants are crucial for success. To ensure that the participants understand their role and obligations, VAP has developed a short animated video that describes the role of the participant. The video is a tool to reinforce the participant commitment form that comes with the VAP standard documents. As mentioned earlier, cooperation with the partners is essential for a value-adding project. VAP is therefore offering a short animated video explaining the roles and obligations of the partner organization. The video is a visualization of the obligations stipulated in the standard Memorandum of Understanding with Partners. It is also crucial that you, as a user, understand and reflect upon the political vision of the donor. For this reason, VAP offers some short whiteboard presentations of selected EU policies that Erasmus Plus has been based on. A project should be based partially on the need of the target group and partially on the visions and objectives of the donor. For this reason, VAP is offering some objective cards with statements from the Erasmus Plus program and the underlying policies. Those cards can be used when developing a problem tree. When designing a proposal for a donor, it is important to understand the limitations of the program applied. To create an overview of possibilities and delimitation of each of the actions, VAP offers a map of the Erasmus Plus program. The three last tools are based specifically on the Erasmus Plus program. At the time of developing this course, the Erasmus Plus program is still in place. With the new program from 2021 to 2028, it is expected that VAP will be renewed with tools addressing this purpose. VAP also offers 6 standards addressing the indicators: a call for partners and an expression of interest form that aims to highlight the connection with partners and their vision and mission. The standards are aiming to give the partner organization a reflection about how your project fits them and how they can be co-contributors. A memorandum of understanding between the applicant and partner organization is proposed to create clarity about the expectations with a focus on value adding and quality. Application forms for participants for youth exchanges and mobility of youth workers highlighting the participants' role as co-contributors. A participant's declaration is committing the participants to participate in all phases of the project and to contribute to value creation. Finally, VAP offers an evaluation form that focuses on measuring the value created as opposed to evaluating the immediate satisfaction of the participants. The standards are templates that can be adjusted to a specific project or organization. There are currently over 50 users of the VAP standards. Some are using all standards and tools, whereas others are using selected elements or have adjusted the standards to their needs. To conclude this submodule, let us summarize the lessons learned. 1. Project management standards and project management framework are terms often used to mean the same thing. 2. Project management tools can be useful, but one size doesn't fit all. 3. VAP stands for Value-Adding Projects and is a standard designed for Erasmus Plus projects. 4. VAP is built on a philosophy naming 7 factors affecting value creation. 5. Those 7 factors can be addressed using 6 tools and 6 standard documents.